Hi everybody, it's Jody Young here. Welcome back to my channel for another painting tutorial in acrylics. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a whimsical snowman by Moonlight. I'm going to be working on a 16 by 20 double primed and stretched canvas, and I have the following colors here that I'll also leave in the description box. I'll supply all the materials I'm using down there for you guys, list them all. Starting off with titanium white, then we have Mars black, ultramarine blue, Naphthol Crimson Red, and Cadmium Orange Hue. The brushes I'll be using today will be a large 70 flat brush just for creating the background or the underpainting with first. And I'm also going to be using a number 10 Filbert brush, a few 1-inch mop brushes, and for smaller details and fine lines, I'll be using my number 3 round brush. So if you guys are ready to learn how to paint this, let's go ahead and get started. Now, because I'm covering up a large area, it's going to be a lot easier to spread and blend my acrylics around by spraying my canvas down with some water first. So that's the reason why you might see me doing this at the beginning of most of my tutorials. This is a really great tip for blending acrylics and covering large areas much easier. This way, you're not inclined to keep going back for more and more paint because you do need a little bit of water to help thin your acrylics out just a little bit, especially if you're using professional grade, heavy bodied acrylics like I am. So give this a try and see if this helps you out. What it also does is keep your acrylic paints from drying out on your palette, so you can mist your palette lightly with a little bit of water as well. Now that I've applied the water, I'm just going to go ahead and spread it around evenly over the canvas. I might even need to add a little bit more. My studio is a bit warm today, and it's going to make it dry a lot quicker. I accidentally just picked up a little bit of black, but that's okay because we're going to be using that anyways. So let's go ahead and start off with some black. And what I want to do is frame the edges of the canvas. So I'm going to go around and just add black to the edges here. Need a little bit more water. Now you can dip your brush in your bucket of water if you want to go for more water when you need to. However, this kind of gives you a little bit more control, so you don't have too much water in your brush. But just do what works best for you. This is just one way and what I prefer to do, but every artist is different. Okay, so the next color I'm going to take without washing my brush out is blue. I'm going to apply the blue partially on the black where I left off and partially on the white canvas. I'll pick up a little bit more. And I'm going to come in more and more towards the center, making the circle smaller and smaller. And then I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to pick up some white, and I'm going to apply the white partially over where I left off. And I'm just going to go and work that out towards the edges of the canvas. I'll pick up some more. I'll start again. We can even go like right in the middle just to make it nice and soft, bluey gray. I'll rinse that brush out, and I'm going to just take my dry mop brush now, and while this is still wet, I'm going to start going over the whole canvas with little circles. The trick is to make sure you're doing this while the paint is still wet, while your canvas is still wet. If it's starting to dry, use a finer misting spray bottle, and you can just mist your canvas lightly, and that'll help just loosen the paint up a little bit before it completely dries. And I'm just moving the paint around a little bit by going around in circles like this. So I'm bringing a little bit of that blue and the black in the center. And I'm also bringing a little bit of the white out towards the edges of the canvas. And it's looking really, really soft and airbrushed because we're using a soft mop brush that we haven't got wet. Remember, this will only work when your paint is wet and your mop brush was dry and soft, a nice soft mop brush. This one is actually a makeup brush. Most of my mop brushes are makeup brushes. I find that they're the softest because they make them for faces, so that they've got to be really gentle and soft bristled, and they also don't shed. Now the next thing I want to do is take my number 10 Filbert brush. I'm going to take some white on the end of it, no water at all, and I'm going to start adding some whimsical swirls. So curl, 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 just little like curly cues. And then what we're going to do is just follow that pattern. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is all about creating some whimsy. Just having fun and creating a fun little pattern. I'm going to take my water bottle and just spray that down. And look how it makes it even softer. Gives it more of a blended look. And I'm going to come in and add a few more here. Now our snowman's going to cover up part of these, but they're going to be in the background. I'm going to come in and add a circle here for our moon. And we can just add it right here. You can make your moon solid white, or you can have it kind of gradiate lighter and darker areas, have it a little more patchy like. There's so many different styles of moons. And I'm going to go around the outside of the moon. Another little bit of water. A little bit more water. And look at that. We can just create a really soft looking glow without adding too much water. And just have fun with your swirls in the sky. Exaggerate them as much as you want. Okay, I'm going to add some more white around the outside of the moon. And I'm going to come down here and add some white and just a little bit of orange. Now we're going to have our snowman here, and there's going to be a shadow from the snowman, and it's going to be on an angle. The moonlight coming down here is going to fall and cast a shadow. So we're going to make the shadow a little wider down on the bottom and then come in a little narrower here. Now it's always a good idea to tint your white with a color so that you add a little bit more life to your paintings. So just tinting it, it still looks white, but it's a nice warm white now from applying a little bit of this cadmium orange. You can use any orange you want. Some oranges are a little cooler and warmer than others. Just fine misting a little bit more water. And then I'll just have it ease off here and get a little bit more faded along the edges. Adding a little bit more water here now. I'm going to just kind of go around in little swirls like this, working out the rest of my paint. I want to create a really soft glowing light and lighting to this painting. So we've got the dark gradation to light in the center. I'm going to soften this area here with another mop brush that's dry. And I'm just going to come up in little circles like this, kind of giving it more of a swirly design to go with the background. And I'm going to pick up some more with my Filbert brush. Again, the orange and the white. And mist. Again, over to the mop brush. Soften, going around in little circles. Okay, and I'm just going to take my mop brush now, load it with a little bit of white and orange, And I'm going to apply the swirls, the same brush stroke that I applied with the Filbert brush. And add it over top of the existing pattern to create a little bit more of a glow. And then I'll go back over to my Filbert brush and add a few more. And we're also going to paint some stars, but I want to come in and add a little bit of orange and white to the moon now. I'll be able to add a little bit more as it dries. So this is starting to dry down here. I'm going to come in and add another layer of the peach color that we made. And then we'll get started on our snowman pretty soon. I'm going to work out the rest of the paint in my brush again and have it fade out to the corner here. And I'm going to take a little bit more of my blue mix it up with a little bit of white. And I'm just going to lightly go over the shadow area here just to kind of soften it a little bit. Have those mid-tones, mid-shadows. Add a little bit more blue in here too if you want. I think it's fun to just maybe exaggerate the color a little bit more. And I'll add a little bit of blue, a little bit more white in there. And I'm going to change the direction that I'm applying my paint in down here. I'm going to add a few little lines kind of overlapping here so that we get a few little dips in the snow. Okay, now I'm going to take my round brush and I'm going to add a few stars. So maybe I'll add one right here. I'm just going to start with little dots. Wherever we add a little dot, we're going to add little lines to make them stars. So after you have your dot, I'll start with the ones up here. You just gently pull up and flick down and across. You might need a little bit more paint if it starts to dry. You might need a smaller brush. And some of your stars, you can add an extra line through. So I always say you can start with a little T and then add an X. It's an easy, easy way to paint them. Feel free to change up your color palette. If you want to add a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of pink, purple, whatever you want to add, you can. This is just kind of a limited palette idea I wanted to show you guys, but it would look beautiful in all sorts of pastel tones with a gray base to start though. Now I'm going to add another little dab of white inside the stars to kind of make them sparkle a little bit more, glow a little bit more, and then I'll just come in and add just little dabs. Now if they look a little bit too harsh, then I just go over with my finger like that. Sometimes I want them to just be a little brighter and different sizes, so I'll let off on the amount of pressure I'm using. And you can also change up the sizes of your brushes. So I'll have softer looking ones. You can even take your finger and just kind of go around and make them a little softer looking. Just gonna rinse my brush out and use some of this paint to make this star a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to go around continuously to create a little glow. I'm going to take my round brush, a little bit more white, and choose a few areas where you have these existing swirls to add some smaller swirls inside. Then some more white. Maybe this is starting to dry a little bit more, and I can come in and add some brightness. I'm going to add a star right here. And then a little last dab of white right there. I'll reapply some more white. I'm going to take white with a little bit of orange again, and I'm going to go across like this to bring this up a little bit brighter. On both sides. Thin the paint out a little bit over here with some water. Okay, so let's start coming in with our snowman. I think this is, yeah, it's dry enough. And we're gonna start with the bottom the first circle for our snowman. And I'm going to start with, we'll start with white, a little bit of orange, and we're going to make the snowman bottom start here, and we're going to go up. Okay, like that. And then I'm just going to start kind of tapping that around. And then as we get over to this side, there's going to be some shadows. So we'll take a little bit of blue, a little bit of black. You don't have to wash your brush off. And we're going to start with a little line that comes in like this. Take a little bit more black and blue. Because my paint is wet, I need to add a little bit more. And we're going to bring it down here. We're going to have a lot of shadows on this snowman. Now see how it's kind of, you can hear it, dry brush, because I've worked out the most of the paint already. Gonna reload with some blue and some black, and I'm gonna come underneath and go round like this, so we get a shadow under. And then a little bit darker shadow right in this area here, and then it'll be a little bit glowier, and the light, just a skinny line, outline of the peach color. Okay, I'm gonna go and start with the next one, and I've already got this color in my brush, like the blue and the black, so I'm gonna take that, bring it around. So you can start it with a dark base first, the outline anyways, or light. Okay, I'm just going to come down here, dry brush that out. I'll rinse my brush out. Gonna just move some of this around. My brush is a little bit wet, so I can take that paint with my brush and just kind of push it around where I want it to be. Then with a clean brush, we're going to go into our orange and our white, and we're going to get right to the edge here. You can create a bit of a texture too if you tap and dab. Now what I'm going to do is dry this off so that I can come in and add a bright, bright highlight. Okay, back over to my orange and white. I'm going to apply the majority of it here on the far right side. And then I'm going to start going around and blending it out, and then gradually fading into the shadow side. I'm going to take a bit more for this side, because as it dries, it's gonna start to dry a little bit darker because of the dark base that we're trying to add this over top of. So you may need to apply a few coats. And we could add a little glow around the outer edge there as well. And now we can start on the head. So I already have the white and orange in my brush, so I'm just gonna use that. And I'm gonna apply the head right here. I'll work out that paint out of my brush, and I'll come in with a little bit of blue and black now. I'm going to come right underneath the head, thin, and then create like the shape of a crescent moon on the left side. Take a little bit of black, and make it darker. Okay, I'll rinse my brush out, but nice and clean. And I'm going to soften by tapping the blue gray into the peach. Okay, so now we're going to add the hat, and I'm going to take some blue and some black, my Filbert brush, and what we're going to do is paint a wider top of the hat, and then it's going to come in a little narrower like this. For like a top hat. We're going to add a highlight and make it look kind of shiny in a moment. Just going to bring this down a little bit, and then what we're going to do is come over top and wrap it around. Paint that in. Take a little bit more black, and I'm going to add it on the far left side. Then I'm going to take some white, and I'm going to add a little bit of snow and light on the right side of the hat. I'm going to soften that, and then I'm going to take a little bit of that white, a little bit more, and lightly tap, and then pull, 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 without pushing too hard. Clean brush, some white, and a little bit of blue. And I'm going to add little taps, shadows here, right under the hat. And then play up a little bit more on the blue in here now. It makes it easier once the paint starts to dry. And I'll take a little bit more blue and go around the moon. Now before we do anything else, I'm going to take a toothbrush that I like to use for creating snow and stars and sparkle. I'm going to get my toothbrush wet first. And then I'm going to just load the bottom of my toothbrush up by going around in little circles into the white. It's okay if your white is tinted with blue or orange for this. You just want it to be enough white that it shows up. And we're going to spray some stars around here. And it's okay if you get some on your hat or anywhere else because it could be snow. Okay, the snowman is going to need some arms and a face, a scarf. Let's start with his arms. So I'm going to take my round brush, a little bit of water, and I'm going to take some orange and mix that with my black. This will give us more of a brown color for like a stick or a branch used for his arms. And I'll add a little line here and a little line here. And then we're gonna go up like this, or you can point your arms in any direction you want. I'm going to take a little bit of black and just go right underneath. I'm going to give him some mittens. So we'll start with a little ring like this or oval, and then we'll bring it in, pop out a little thumb, we're going to add snow as well on top of this, but I want to take some red and add some red to his mittens. And then I'm going to take some black and we're going to add his eyes. So we'll start with one over here and then one over here. We'll add his nose by starting to add a little curve like this, and then partially over his right eye. And then a little shadow underneath. We'll take some orange and add that. As it dries, we'll be able to add a little bit more to make that color stand out more. And then we'll go back to our black and we'll add a smile. You can just do one solid line for a smile if you want, or you can make these little circles or dabs. And we need to have some going down his chest as well. I'll do 3 here. And 4 down the rest of his body. I'm going to come down here and add another scoop of white, or black I mean, in between the snowballs. And I'm going to tidy up the spots around his smile here, because I didn't get, well, I made it, it's just a little bit too big. So you can wait for it to dry, or you can come in and add a little bit of white around, but you just got to be careful that you don't make gray if you pick any of that black up. It's probably best to dry it off first. Now he's going to have a scarf too, and I'm going to start it with some purple and red. And we're going to come from here and pull it over. I'm going to add this color. We'll accent it on his hat as well. I'm going to add a little bit of white and add little bits of that on his mittens. I've got some red there still that's pretty wet and thick. Whoops. And then it's going to be a little bit brighter here, so we'll take a little bit more white. This is a really pretty shade of plum with that ultramarine blue and naphtha crimson. I want to add some snow to his arms, and I'm going to make the peach color. And I want to make it kind of chunky looking, so I'm not pulling a smooth, seamless line across. I'm going to add a little bit on his mittens as well. So I'm just using the tip of my brush and a little bit of this peach color. Let me just make up a little bit more. Okay, so we'll just add a little bit here as well. And I'm going to add some on the top of his hat. I'm going to take some orange. And I can see my black is still really wet, so I've got to dry that off. Let's just continue with our scarf here. So I'm going to go into my red and my blue again. And I want to have the ends of his scarf kind of blowing in the wind. We already have a feeling and a sense of a wind here from the sky and the pattern in the sky, right? And then there'll be a few little tails on the end. we'll have the other side of his scarf, the other end, just kind of coming down here. I'm going to take just a little bit of black and add it here so that this one looks like it's on the other side and underneath, and there'd be a little bit of a shadow there. Okay, and then I'm going to take my orange and my white again, and I'm going to add this to the outer edges of the scarf. And just tap in a few little lines like this for a little bit of snow catching on the pattern of the scarf and the material. Just mixing up a little bit more of the peach. And I'm going to add a little bit down here. And some on his nose. I'll try again, still a little wet. Okay, I'm going to mix up my red and my orange here. And I'm going to add a little bit more on the mittens. And a little bit more color on the scarf. And on the ribbon on his hat. Then I'll go back over to my orange and my white and make a lighter shade over top of this area here. And then carefully dab, dab, dab in little lines. And go over part of this shadow here under his nose and above by the eye, and just clean this up. Mix up a little bit of blue. Light blue. So it makes that beautiful light blue violet shade that I love. Now a little bit more blue and black. And I'm just gonna go over this area here. I want to add some more stars in this area, so I'm going to take a clean round brush and add some more stars. So I'll start with a little dab there. I'm going to do just one at a time. we'll add a little one right here as well. Maybe this one a little bit bigger actually. Remember, it's nice to have different sizes. And I'll rebrighten some of these swirls. Dabbing a few little snowflakes or little glowing stars. They don't all have to have the lines on them. Some of them can just be little dabs. And I'm going to take some more white and I'm going to come in here and I'm holding my brush like this, like you would hold a flute. Now you can hold the brush however you want to do this. However, this is a really comfortable way of doing it, and you just shouldn't have to push very hard, but I'm just going around in little swirls and circles here just to create a little bit more light. With a clean Filbert brush, some more white. I'm going to brighten up our moon. Remember, it needs to have time to dry so that you can really make sure that the white paint shows up. Take a little bit more blue and white. And this black line right here, I just want that to kind of fade a little bit more. So all I'm doing is just gradiating it a bit more. A little bit more blue and black. I'm going to add a bit more to this hat here. I'm going to bring the brim down a little bit lower. Then I'll work out what's in my brush, add a little bit of that blue and white. You want to work off the majority of the paint. Now I just want to sneak a little Christmas tree in here. So I'm going to use this brush, a little bit of water, and blue and black on both sides. And I'm going to start from up here down to here. And I'm just going to add little taps side to side. I want this to be a happy little tree, so I'm making the branches go up. I'll tap like this and then turn it up. clean brush, and I'm going to take some white now. I'm going to tap over the top of the tree, and I'm going to add a little bit of snow. So I'm tapping the same way, but just a little bit less paint and a little bit less pressure. Less pressure will give you a thinner layer of snow. So if you want even less than this, then just dab it on there and don't push. And if you want to have a lot of snow, then you're going to just dab a little harder and add a few more coats of white. Kind of just pulling from the ends of the branches and into the swirls. They kind of line up, or you can make them line up by doing that, and then it kind of just all goes together. Same with the ends of the scarf here. We'll just tap a few little tassels, and then just need a little bit of water on the brush. Let's try that again. So this is the way I find making a painting more whimsical the easiest, just by exaggerating the lines. Maybe we'll have some going from underneath and over, from down here, under and over. A little bit of red that I picked up in there, but I think that's kind of pretty actually. And I just want to still add a little bit more light highlights to that side of, go back into my plum, white, and orange there. I just need a little bit more light right there. Could have hints of this as well. A bit more of the blue. So you can make some pretty shades of lavender and purple. Add a little bit of that plum purpley color down on the shadow area here as well. Really, you can just add it wherever you want. I'm going to mix up some more black, blue, and a little bit of red this time. Make this right side of the tree a little bit darker. I'm going to add a little bit of this dusty plum color to the tree. And I think I'm going to add a few lights to this Christmas tree. We'll make it a Christmas tree. Take a little bit of white. I'll add a little star on the top. First a little dab. And then some garland lights. I'm dabbing these on an angle and then bringing them over. And now I'm going to add all the little lines for my star on top of my little Christmas tree. I add a little bit more snow on the mittens. And a little bit more orange to add to my lights. So you can add the orange right into the white dabs on your tree, or you can make a softer color. I'm gonna add another layer right here because I feel like it was just needing a few extra lights. I really have a lot of fun with my winter and Christmas tutorials. I always find myself wanting to add more and more details, and I could just keep adding and adding and adding. Let's just take a little bit of that peach color, add it there. And then I like to just go around and dry brush a few areas, picking up some of the wet paint on the lights. It'll help your tree look a little softer and glow a little bit more. And I'm just going to finish this painting up by adding the last dab of orange, a little bit of white in there for the nose. Hope you guys enjoyed this fun, whimsical snowman. Thanks for watching. Have fun painting your own, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!